Towers and Titans is an upcoming gacha tower defense game with a blockchain twist. Now that phrase will generate a lot of concern in quite a lot of people because of the recent drama with blockchain and general crypto and NFTs and all that kind of stuff. However, I am very interested in this game solely because it seems like you are able to trade your heroes. Now, people who are familiar with gacha games are known that they're not notorious for having the best player models, but as far as I'm concerned, being able to trade heroes has got to be one of the best models out there. So I am very interested in exploring this game and seeing exactly what that means. What's playing in the background right now is a current trailer for the game. The game is still in quite early development, I believe. I think there might be a goal to release the game by very late 2023. Current plans are for some closed beta tests, and this is Towers and Titans in the background right now. I've been fortunate enough to get one of the whitelist keys. If you want to get hold of it yourself, I'm going to leave a whole stack of links in the description to this video. So if you are interested in this game, I will leave links to their descriptions on Twitter. There's a whole thread where they kind of share a bunch of information. I'll link an invite to the official Discord as well. So there'll be plenty of stuff there if you want to check out more about this game. On the official Discord is where you can apply to join the whitelist. They are currently going in waves. I believe we're currently in closed beta test 2.1. Keys are given out fairly regularly based on Discord giveaways, Twitter giveaways, and a bunch of different events. I got mine for participating in an art event on the official Discord, so definitely check it out. They do seem to give away a fair number of keys. Plan is to run the closed beta test until the game launches. There will be some wipes during this, but I think they're planning to kind of reduce those as the time gets nearer, so I'm not entirely sure how often, but from the sounds of it, not that often. Towers and Titans is developed by Rumble Games, which is a game development studio that has published and developed Alliance Heroes of the Spire, as well as King's Road, which is a web-based game. I have not played any of their games before. However, one thing I did find out from their Twitter thread is that they are actually a subsidiary of Plarium, which you may know from Raid Shadow Legends. So that's another thing that may send people running for the hills. However, from my understanding, this is quite different to Raid in many ways. Having the funding and the backing of Plarium is a huge thing, and as a subsidiary, they are obviously their own team. They are making their own decisions, and they have their own control over the game's design and direction. There are Medium posts sharing information about the design processes for the game. There is a lot out there at the moment already for a game still in early development, and there is so much communication from the developers and already on their official Discord that it gives me a lot of hope. One of my favorite things when I'm looking at a game currently in development is seeing a lot of communication from the developers, and I've seen troves of it from the Towers and Titans team, so I'm quite interested in this. And honestly, the backing from Plarium, being a subsidiary of Plarium, can only really be a good thing in this case. This seems to be an experienced team with a very powerful backer behind them, so I think there's some good potential here. Let's get into it, let's play the game, see what it's all about. Just to interrupt the start very quickly, I did not realize that you could change the graphics settings. You can upgrade them. It starts at low by default. I do mention in the video later on that things aren't quite as sharp as I would like graphically, but they are notably better when you do push your graphics up, so I apologize for that. I didn't realize it at the start, but as you can see, this guy looks fairly decent, and some of the other characters actually look pretty cool as well. So the graphics are actually not too shabby once you put the settings up a bit. There's a little bit of room for a little bit more polish, but I'm much happier with how they look right now that I've put the graphics up a bit. So keep that in mind when I mention graphics in future. So this is the tutorial. I have not done anything yet, and the leader of our armies has vanished. So we need to defend our people while she runs off after him and they have a picnic in the woods, I guess. We are the commander in this situation, which is kind of the standard thing I believe in most tower defense things. So you can kind of pull your heroes out like this, and you drag to face the direction they're placing in. You can't change the direction, which is pretty standard as well. So we have this gentleman with a hammer. That's quite cool. I like the interaction between the environment, the fact that there's these guys climbing up and getting shot. And we have a zoom in for the attack. Again, some of the animations and particle systems and effects may not be what remains in the game. This is still in development, so things are likely to change. So we've gained Felwyn, a hero. She is 1 star, so I believe she won't be an NFT. I believe NFTs are only heroes that are ranked 3 to 5 star. My understanding of things currently is that heroes can be ranked 1 to 5 star, with 1 and 2 star fodders just being your standard mooks that you use to upgrade other heroes. But I believe 3 to 5 star heroes are actually NFTs that you can trade, which is quite an interesting spin. That's the thing I'm most interested in. Being able to trade heroes is a huge thing. I'm very interested to see what kind of player-driven economy that creates, and just generally the systems behind how that functions. So we have 3 heroes at the moment: Edwin, Silver, and Felwyn, and we can see there's some kind of class structure here. There's also an elemental system. I actually really like elemental systems. It just adds a little bit of flavor. It gives you more reason to build more teams. I really do like that system. I miss it in games that don't have it. The kingdom it's burning, well, Bryn is still missing, frolicking through a forest somewhere, so it's up to us, unnamed commander, to save the day. And we seem to have a pretty small map. I quite like this, to be honest. It's quite easy to see exactly what's happening. The defense of the fort at the top, as well as the number of enemies to kill, and command points are what we use to deploy heroes. So she can block 3, he can block 2 because he's a fighter, I guess. Or there we go. And we can place her and drag her that way. And now we are shooting down the bone dragon guys. Cool, so pretty standard stuff so far, but it works. The main thing is the balance and the content, so I'm very interested to see how that goes. This is quite early, obviously, and I don't want to be too critical in my reviews because this is still in development. I think it's important not to be too critical of stuff when there's still a long way to go. We're getting quite an early view of things at the moment. I think the graphics obviously could use a bit of improving and a bit of polishing up, but the overall layout of things I quite like. Obviously there's some overlapping of text here, but that's not a big deal. But it's quite nice that you can see things quite clearly. The information seems to be well presented. It's quite easy to see the things that you might need to see. Oh, so you can spend command points to boost a hero, increasing damage and survivability. You can sell him to get some points back, or you can boost him for 12. I want to know exactly what boost does. Okay, so I have no idea exactly how much that grants, or if it's permanent. I'm guessing it's permanent. But that's quite interesting as a mechanic. Okay, let's see. So this is his ult, which was unnecessary. There's only one alive, but you know what? That's fine. And I suppose I should tank. I'll put them here because he looks like, yeah, he can attack one in front and she can attack there. So I think that's probably the place I want to put them. Let's do the thing. Wow, okay, she deleted that guy. And I'll put this one down there. Cool. So far, I think it's quite nice. You can already see there's going to be some more tactical elements. I actually quite like that things are a bit more condensed in what's happening. I think it means missions will flow fairly quickly, but you'll have a lot more micro choices to make rather than spreading out into a giant map and having to control a lot of different places at once. Okay, so this is the PvP arena battle. I am defending the left side, so I guess this is symmetrical PvP where we're both defending against the same thing. Whoever reaches 0 HP first loses the match, and I have clearly marked the first lane that I need to defend. Alright, I'll try putting down Edwin here so I can cover this, and then I'll try to chuck down the new guy I got so that I can deal damage across both lanes. That feels like a smart thing to do. We'll see how that goes. So killing units in the guard lane will cause them to respawn in your opponent's rival lane. So that opens up quite a bunch of tactics as to how you do things. That's quite interesting to me, actually. I like that quite a lot. I'm not sure how that will actually play out at end game, but it opens up some choices. You could save to burst kill enemies, but then they'll spawn in a burst. So it might depend, especially in live arena. If you see the enemy has really good kind of consistent damage but not good burst damage, then you could try to deliberately group the enemies and kill them all at once, I guess. Alright, there we go. This is my plan, having Nazafar to hit both of these lanes while these two defend. I think the sooner you kill them as well is a pretty good idea because it means they'll spawn sooner on the other side, so you can overrun them. He's killing them at the end, so they'll be spawning on my side later, whereas I'm killing them a lot sooner, which I think is probably a pretty good strategy. So this is in the guard lane as well. So I'll be interested, does that spawn? Okay, it does. So the boss spawns on his side as well when killing it. So there's a lot of strategy to that as well. Cool, well it looks like I've won this one. Interesting. I actually quite like that as an arena system. I'm glad they've added a bit of complexity with the enemies spawning on the either side based on what you kill. So you'll have to defend the lane where the enemies are spawning initially, but then the second lane is where the enemies will spawn after they've been killed by your opponent. So there's two sides to it, which I think is quite a clever system. It gives you some nuance as to how and when you choose to kill enemies, as well as how you spread out your defense. Okay, it seems I have access to the UI and I can do whatever I want. I think I've cleared the majority of the tutorial stages, so I'm going to have a pick around the UI and see if I can find anything interesting. So they actually have a cash shop in the game already. I'm kind of curious about that. There was a mention if you spend money and there is a wipe, you'll get a full refund upon the game releasing. I'm not going to look into this too much as to how valuable these things are because this is so subject to change and a whole load of other stuff. As for summoning, the Commander's Commission, there is a recruitment tome which summons 1 to 2 star heroes only, and the rates are listed for us here as well. There is 3 core elements, fire, nature, water, and there is light and dark, which are rarer, which you can get in the same summon. They're just a lot rarer, which is quite a nice way of doing it. I suppose you always have a chance of getting hold of them. Then we have the 3, 4, and 5 star titans. We have the rates here, so the light and dark one is 0.05 and the standard ones are 0.45, so a 0.5% chance on a 5 star, which is a fairly standard rate to have. 4 to 5 star only, and your odds of getting a 5 star go up to 6.5% instead of 0.5%, and then you have a mythic tome which guarantees a 5 star titan. So from looking at this, it suggests there's only 4 5 star titans. That could just be the way the UI is designed. Let's see if we can find out a list of all the titans in the game. It would be kind of cool to see what is existing currently. So looking at Wulfric and Tyr, They do seem to have different skills. Some of the icons are the same, but activating Wulfric's one deals damage to a single enemy plus damage scaling on HP, and additional damage after a delay to the nearest enemy, whereas Tyr's ultimate seems to do damage to all enemies in AoE, and killing an enemy grants him a permanent attack speed boost. So that's kind of the main thing I want to see when you have any of these elemental systems, is you want them to make sure that they are actually different. It kind of sucks if it's a recolor and they have the same skills but they're different elements, so it's nice that they're at least different in that way. There was a comment on their Medium post suggesting that all heroes have been tested and you can complete all content using 2-star heroes. I think the main focus is actually building heroes up to 6-star. I think this is kind of the end game goal, so you might not necessarily need to worry too much about 5 stars. So I'm sure they're going to be very important and help a lot, especially in Arena. One of the things I'm most curious about, when you trade heroes, I'm assuming you're trading them at whatever you did to them. So if you've leveled them up and max skilled them and whatever else progression mechanics they have, I'm guessing you'll be trading them alongside those benefits. So by my count, that makes 21 unique characters and then 5 versions of them each. So that brings it up to 105 different characters in the game, which is a fairly small amount currently, considering that these are of course recolors, but they do all have unique skills it seems, so that's not too bad actually. Hopefully there's going to be a whole load more by the time release rolls around, so at the moment it seems promising. I do like the idea. All enemies in range as well as dealing a bunch of damage to them, but it stuns fire enemies for twice as long. So it's cool to see some extra interaction and not just, oh, you deal a fixed amount of bonus damage. It seems some of the skills will be built around that as well. So far, although it is very early, there's a lot of other stuff to consider, and there's some things that we need to see how they develop and change. I quite like how they've designed some of the systems. I think it's cool that you give other heroes a lot more potential just because, oh hey look, this guy will be really good at delaying fire teams. I mean, maybe that's the thing, I don't know the details, but I like the premise. I think it has a lot of potential. It's just cool to see. For me, I just really like to see options. I want options. That's my favorite thing in these games, is when you get stuck on a level and you sit there and you think, what on earth can I do? You know, what options do I have to get past this barrier? I don't like it when it's just throw manpower at it and upgrade your levels. I like to try and think of clever solutions, and having stuff like that I think is a really great way of enabling players to come up with their own solutions to challenges. I need to remember to do the boost. I would like it to tell us what the boost actually meant. There's probably somewhere that it does tell you, I just don't know about it. But I quite like the boost mechanic. It's something I'm going to have to try to be conscious of, because I think it will probably become quite important in the game. So far my only hang up is the art is not quite as sharp as I'm used to in some of the other games I've been playing recently, but like I said, this is still quite early in development. It seems in this kind of stage in development, the main thing they're going to be focusing on is ironing out the mechanics and getting things to function in a nice way and to make sure the game is fun. So art and, you know, getting your rendering effects, getting your material set out and fleshing out your models and optimizing it is kind of not super important at this stage of the game. At the moment, you want to see that the game is fun, the mechanics work, the system works, and you get your infrastructure set up. So let's have a look at the water one. The auto does damage, spawns 5 waves over 5 seconds, which knock back enemies, deal extra damage, and it slows the enemies. I quite like it as a mechanic. It's kind of cool you have knockback and slow in the same thing. It gives you some options for sure. I wonder if they'll play into pushing enemies off the map or into environment damage, terrain traps, or something like that. She stuns enemies on the first hit, which is quite cool. And she gains mana when enemies are killed. So mana, I'm guessing, is the currency used for the ultimates. I wasn't really paying enough attention. So this is an epic. This would be a native 4-star, I believe. So his manual ultimate deals a bunch of damage, applies a knockback, and stuns the enemy for quite a while. And the ultimate gains bonus damage for each stack of practiced shot, which is this passive. Consecutive attacks on the same enemy increase attack speed up to 6 times, so he can have up to 6 stacks. Each stack will gain a massive amount of bonus power for sniper shot. Stacks up to 6 times, but the stacks are lost when changing targets, so it seems like Valimir is just a boss slayer. And he does bonus damage to stun targets. So yeah, he definitely seems to be a boss killer. The heroes seem really strong in this game. Just having a glance over them, they all seem very useful. So I can definitely understand the comment I read from the developers on the Medium post suggesting that all heroes have been tested and are viable. I'm curious to see how that works as a business model in a gacha. You want people to be pulling. I'm guessing you just need the sheer number of them. An interesting introduction to the game. I'm not going to play too much in this video. I'm going to be doing a Let's Play series where I'll be playing a bit more throughout the game. This video's purpose is really just to have a quick look at the game and to introduce you to what it is and what it's about. So far, and this is very early impressions, I really do like what I see. I'm very interested to see how the rest of it pans out. There's a lot of details I don't quite understand yet, so I'll do some more reading. I'll chat to some of the guys on the Discord and see what I can pick up. And in the next video, we'll go over some more details about the game as I get a bit further through this campaign and figure out a bit more of the systems. But first impressions, I am quite hopeful. I quite like it. Obviously the game needs quite a lot of polish and there's probably some things that need to be fixed up, but again, this is quite early in development at the moment, and I'm very fascinated to see how things change as time goes on. So thank you guys very much for watching. I'll leave a bunch of links in the description, as I said before. If you are interested in Towers and Titans, then do check them out. Have a lovely week, take care, and bye bye.